A wheelchair-bound stroke victim has regained the ability to walk after stem cells were injected directly into the brain.
Scientists say the stem cells are capable of generating different types of cells and tissues. They offer the possibility of treating conditions like heart disease, diabetes, and stroke.
Creating brains from stem cells just so they can figure out faster ways to heal it.
And what we're trying to do is see whether his own stem cells can actually repair that heart and make it pump effectively again.
Using stem cells, not a magic wand.
It's pretty simple to describe. We're growing bones from stem cells.
The potential of stem cells to replace damaged or unhealthy cells is what makes them so appealing in the world of regenerative medicine. Currently, stem cells make up a $7 billion industry with more than 6,000 active clinical trials, over 50,000 patents, and 300,000 scientific papers, all backing stem cell technologies. However, one large barrier remains before wide-scale use of stem cell therapies becomes a reality: efficient, safe, and cost-effective production. But one company hopes to revolutionize the industry by making regenerative medicine universally available, with a breakthrough in stem cell manufacturing, potentially making quality stem cells an accessible commodity. Joining us remotely is Dr. Shai Yarkoni, co-founder and CEO of Cellect. Thank you for joining us today, Dr. Yarkoni.
Well, thank you for having me here.
Now, stem cell technology has been around for several decades, and there are thousands of stem cell therapies in clinical trials today. How is it that mass production of stem cells is still a barrier in the industry?
So, not many people realize what stem cells are. These cells are very elusive. They are very rare. There are less than 1 every 10,000 cells in our body. But more importantly, they do not resemble like anything else. They look exactly like any other cell. So trying to get the raw material, trying to get the stem cells, is almost impossible if you do it on a classical biological process.
A major problem seems to be the lack of standardization. How has this harmed progress in the industry?
So, as I said, these cells are very hard to define. Actually, nobody really saw a stem cell under the microscope. The only way to get those cells is through functional selection. And that's what Cellect is bringing to the table. A new concept of how you're finding those cells. What the industry has shown until now is that even if there are multiple of phase 2 successful studies, when it gets to the phase 3 studies, things that look very safe are not efficacious because they are different. We don't know how to look at those stem cells, so we don't know how to predict if a product that has worked on phase 2 will work on phase 3. We have numerous of examples of companies that spend hundreds of millions of dollars and got to a phase 3 without really knowing what's the composition of the cells in their product. That's what we are changing.
You mentioned that functional selection is the key to producing stem cells with efficacy, and it's the basis of your technology. Can you talk a little bit more about what that means and how your ApoGraft technology works?
Yes. The technology that we developed is actually embarrassingly simple because we realized that stem cells, unlike mature cells, like situations where cells are dying. Actually, it's intuitively understood because stem cells, by definition, are going to areas where other cells are dying. So we postulated that materials or compounds, molecules that create cell death will not impact stem cells. Actually, through 15 years of research, we found that not only that stem cells are not harmed, they're actually activated because of the same molecules. Which makes sense because once the stem cells arrive to the area of destruction, they need to be activated. And the same molecules that drives other cells to die are activating the stem cells. And this is the biological basis of our technology. When we set up the company 7 years ago, we moved from a concept, from a biological process, to actual products. And the products are the translation of this biological understanding. We postulated that if we could just mimic wounds, like any other wound, we would kill the cells that are not relevant to the actual regeneration and activate the stem cells that we so urgently need. That's the basis of our technology.
Your goal is to have your production platform utilized by every facet of the industry, from research to in-clinic treatments to large-scale industry. How can one technology meet the needs of each of these segments? And how do you plan to work in alliance with all of these different industry players?
So the concept that we adopted is, instead of using cells as our products, with all the nightmares of logistics, of freezing and thawing and driving cells from one place to another, not to mention the regulatory issues, we are working on the environment. Again, if you remember, I said that we are looking for a wound-like situation. So we have a line of products which are fully scalable. You can use a few thousands of cells in a very small setup like a flask, or you can go up to a bioreactor where you can do trillions of cells. And in that way, we are fully adaptable. We can serve any purpose, whether it's a professor or student in the university that need very little cells, whether it's a physician that need to use it for transplantation, that needs more cells, or it's a manufacturing facility that needs more and more cells, like trillions of cells. We can accommodate them all.
Right now, you are doing a medical proof of concept trial in the treatment of graft versus host disease. Tell us about that clinical trial and why you chose GvHd as your first test indication.
Thank you. It's a very good question. So while the technology itself is very wide and it's a platform for many uses, in order to prove that context, we used the only indication that has been accepted by the medical community. So everybody knows bone marrow transplantation. It's been used for 50 years. But the major problem with bone marrow transplantation is the GvHd. And this is a life-threatening condition that is caused by the inability to select the stem cells. What we're doing is, by our technology, we eliminate the cells that cause the GvHd and improve the bone marrow transplantation itself. It's the quickest and more clearest way for proof of concept. And this is what the GvHd means for us. It's safety for the patients. It's efficacy for us.
Well, thank you again for joining us, Dr. Yarkoni.
Thank you for having me here.
With researchers and doctors around the world looking to harness the regenerative power of stem cells, improving wide-scale availability could truly revolutionize the industry.